Alright everybody, this is Brian again. If you've watched my prior video about the cruise control switch, you'll see that things are still kind of in line there. The switch itself works, but the set decel button has had a problem, so I am in need to replace that again. And so I've got the part ordered from an online wholesaler. I'll put a link in the description to show you that one. But also, I've had a new problem, and that is the horn doesn't work. I discovered this when I tried to surprise my son as he was coming out to get in the car, and I tried to honk and scare him, and it didn't work, and so that's a problem. I've also discovered, you'll see that I'm in drive right now, I can upshift with the positive paddle shifter. So you put it in second gear, you can see the indicator down there, but I can't downshift to put it back in first gear. So I've got the downshifter and the horn not working, and the set decel. So I talked to Honda a bit about it. This is just the switch down here within the cruise control switch itself. That's why I'm replacing that. But the horn and the downshift, that belongs to the clock spring, which I'll also be replacing today. And here's the part number for that one. Also got from the same online wholesaler. And for those of you who don't know, the clock spring is basically a big extension cord that lives right down in here, and it transfers the electrical signals from everything in the horn down through the wheel, so that as you turn the wheel it doesn't cause problems. So that's the repair you're going to see today, and hopefully things go smoothly. Got a pretty good idea of what's got to go on here, because I've done it before, as you'll recall. First thing you got to do is get the steering wheel off. Dang it. Come on. There we go. And then we've got to disconnect the airbag. And with that disconnected, now we get this Torx screw in here. There's this one and one on the other side. And I apologize for the camera shakiness. I'm trying to get you a little bit better view than you had last time. Okay, that one's coming. Let's get the other one going. See the Torx bit right in there. There's one. So after you get those Torx bolts out, you can just pull the airbag out and you slide the horn connector right off. Come on, you silly thing. I don't recall there being a release here. Maybe there is. Oh, look, there is. Very small release right here on the side. There we go. Now we've got the airbag out, and we'll set it aside. Now we've got an electrical connection right here that goes into the clock spring, and this bolt right here that holds the steering wheel on, and we should be able to take the entire steering wheel off as an assembly. If you remember when I did the cruise control switch, there's a couple of bolts on the back of the steering wheel that you have to get at, and if you're doing this and you don't want to take the steering wheel off, then the solution is to put the key in so you can unlock the wheel and turn it so you can get access to the back. But since I'm taking the steering wheel off, because I have to get at the clock spring, that's this piece back here, we're going to go ahead and replace this switch while the steering wheel is off. So I've got to get this electrical connector and this bolt out, and I should have my steering wheel. The electrical connector has a little clip. And comes right out. Now for this part I do want the steering wheel locked. There we go. Get a wrench. Looks like a 14mm right on. Alright. Now one tool I've neglected is a marker, because I'm seeing these 3 marks in here, and there's 3 marks around, but I want to make it a little closer. I'm going to take a Sharpie and make a mark extending one of these to make sure that I get the wheel on exactly back how I had it. So let me go get that and I'll be right back. So I'm going to make this line right here so it's easy to see exactly where I was lined up. And I'll put one right here as well. Alright, now I've never taken the steering wheel off after the bolt's off, but according to Eric, the trick is to beat on it. That was unnecessary. And I've got one connector, this is the airbag connector, need to feed back through, and I've got me a steering wheel. So let's go replace the cruise control switch first, and then we will mess with the clock spring. Alright, you can all see here, I hope, that I've got the steering wheel off. I've placed it on the ground here on a towel so that I don't damage the front of it on the cement. And you can see, hopefully you can see, right down in these holes are the Phillips head screws that we've got to remove to loosen the cruise control switch. There's one loose, and there's 2 loose. And there we go. And now, if recollection serves, pop out the little grommet down here. Oh, there's one on the inside. I forgot about that one. The inside one is right here. And then we have the electrical connection. Two electrical connections. No, let's look at the new part. Okay, there's the little clip right there that's holding on to this electrical connection. And there we go, we've got it loose. Again. So, installation is... I don't remember taking this apart when I did it the last time. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. But that reaches right down through there. And the electrical connector comes up in there. And seat it nice. Now we replace the screws. I remember about a month ago I posted on the original video replacing this that I was going to have to do it again, and somebody said this time they think I'll be able to do it in 10 minutes. And I'm not terribly far off of that. I've wasted a lot of time in this one because I'm going to have to do the clock spring, but it's not terribly far off here. You're hearing my daughter and her friend out here playing, and a vacuum running upstairs. Sorry about all the extra noise, but that's what you get with an amateur video maker. So, there we are. New cruise switch installed. Again. Okay, now we're going to get back at the clock spring here. And you'll see there are three, down underneath, there are three recesses here, in which there are these three Phillips head fasteners. And you've got to remove those. And just so you know, I have not been through this disassembly completely, but I found you push right on the front of these, and the top section will disengage from the bottom and fall away that little shroud. And you're going to need access down in here for the remainder of the wiring on the new clock spring. Now let's take a peek at the new part and see exactly where we're looking here. Alright, so we've got our same connectors, got everything in the right spot. This connector is the same as this, and it comes down behind, underneath part of the rest of the instrument cluster, and it looks like it connects way down here. Let me bring you down here and show you. So it comes off the clock spring right here and goes down and emerges. It's this one right here, and then comes back into this yellow clip right here. And then, if you notice on the new part, we have this receptacle. So on the old, that's right here, and this one should be fairly straightforward to unlatch and pull out. Maybe it'll be easier if I use two hands when I'm not holding the camera. Or not. I seem to have misplaced my flathead. There we are. So that's out of the back. Now I just got to get the one that's down underneath. So let's see how that's to be done. Let's examine the new one. Looks like there's a mounting bracket on the bottom of it. So I'm going to have to get the part that's staying on the car out of here and then pull this, get this bracket to release and pull this one out. Although I may simply be able to slide it off of that. We'll see what we can do. Alright, so you can see the connector down in here. And what I found is taking this fuse panel off, you can reach up in and simply grab the back end of the connector and pull it out, and that gets it free. Now, the only thing left to do is to dismount the connector, the wheel side of the connector, and snake it back up through. And if you remember on the new part, there's this little guy, and it's hard to see exactly where he's mounted up in there, but basically what you're going to have to do is get up there as it's mounted and squeeze those ends together until he'll pull free. So I don't think I'm going to be able to show you that, but you can barely get your finger up in this side, and it's a little easier from the other side. So let me do that real fast and you'll see it. Looks a little different than last time. Let me explain a little bit what I had to do with this thing to get it done. First of all, this unit was just really in the way. So you can see there's an electrical connection that goes into each side. Those electrical connections come undone. There's a tab right here. You squeeze them, pull them out, and that undoes the instruments on each side. And then you can see with this, I actually broke the part. I just took a flathead screwdriver and reached in there, wedged it right up in here and twisted, and it popped this little clip out of the way. So now, when I can take the old clock spring off, and when I remount it, this cable, you can see there's kind of almost a little kink right here that goes right through this gap and snakes down under and connects right down in here. Here's the little spot where that clip goes in. So I'll start replacing. Getting the old clock spring off, there's a tab right here. You just lift it up, and it looks like there might be a tab up here. Something up there is holding on to it. Let's look at the new part and see what it is. You see that? I'm just gonna have to lift up on the edge. So take the bottom off and lift up on the top and get that edge. Perhaps a screwdriver will help me disengage that. It really does not want to disengage, does it? Maybe this one off first. No, that's too strong. Let me figure it out. I finally got it off, but it looks like I broke it. You can see right here, there's a retention piece. So the key, you can see that this one was hooked on down here before, and this was hooked on up here, and it looks like the key is to depress these two. I was trying to pop this little notch up, if you can see that, but the key is to depress these to get it to release. So I've still got the one side there, and I hope that's going to be enough to hold it in. So reverse, or installation now is reverse of assembly. So I've got her in place, and she's snapped on pretty securely there. Now a note on these, I don't know if you've watched any other videos on YouTube about this tab. This tab holds it still and makes sure it's in the right orientation, so that after you reattach the steering wheel, it's not already turned some and having difficulty getting to where it's supposed to be. So we just gotta start snaking cables. So this one runs underneath that and down in. I'm gonna keep following it under, but go ahead and thread this on. By the way, when I didn't show this, but there are 3 screws for this piece. One I should take this down here. There's one screw right here, there's one screw down here, and there's one screw up here, right there, that hold this piece on, in addition to the electrical connections. So I'm gonna mate up those 3 screws and these 2 electrical connections, and then I'm gonna reach back there and worry about the connection in the back. I'm gonna worry about the connection in the back first. I just reached in there and just remounted this end, so it's now the close end, so it's now stable, and hopefully you can see here as I reconnect the back end of that pigtail. Ooh. Good solid connection. We're reconnected. All right, now I've got 1, 2, 3 screws, 1, 2, 3 electrical connections, and then it'll be time to go get the steering wheel. So I'll do those and I'll be right back. All right, I totally got ahead of myself. We need still to have this unplugged. Come on. And the wheel off. And because of that, I'm going to go ahead and put this tab back in just to hang on to things, keep them where they're supposed to go. We forgot the shrouds. Well, you didn't. I did. So, I'm going to replace this one first. You can see it fits down on each side there. And then we're going to put this one. In from the bottom. And just snap the 2 halves together. Make sure everything's fitting nice. And now I've got to replace these 3 screws. So let me do that and we'll be back. Now that we have the shrouds back in place. By the way, these screws on the bottom, they're a little tricky to get started because you really can't see up in there. But if you put your finger up, you can feel exactly where it's supposed to go, and that can kind of help you guide as you put the screwdriver in and take care of things that way. So here we are again. Let's go ahead and take out this plastic tab, feed the ABS line back through, and match up again our magic marker lines, Sharpie lines. Go ahead and connect that. And let's get our bolt. Put just a little bit of Loctite on it. This is like the last thing you'd ever want coming loose. And we'll go ahead and thread her on. There we go. No idea what the torque spec is, but that isn't going anywhere. All right, now we just finish reassembling. So we grab the airbag, reconnect the horn, like that. And we make sure that our airbag cable gets down to the bottom where it's supposed to be. Back here, and reconnect. I'll put that in its shroud in just a moment. And for now, I need these torque screws. One on each side. It's not all the way down. I'll get the other one started. Alright, good and tight on both sides. Now I gotta replace this cover after I snap the airbag connection. I didn't get it in the right spot. Off with the Torx bits. I made a boo-boo when I was reinstalling. This airbag connector needed to come through right here, and I kind of pinched it and had it run back down behind, which left it running outside the encasement of the wheel. So make sure you run it back through this hole. This is just a matter of paying attention to where it came out of, and it will route itself nicely right through that little gap right there and be down here ready to mate with the airbag. So now we install for real the airbag. Reconnect the horn, run the airbag connector down through the bottom. This one's probably easier to just grab the connector from behind and make sure to pull it down through. Then you can make the connection back here. Good. And slide it up into its little home. Just like that. How lovely, it's starting to rain on me. And then we just got to do those Torx bolts back up again. There we go. Everything's back together, only old parts and tools over here. So, oh whoops, one more reassembly piece. And that is simply to reinstall this lower cover on the steering wheel. There you go. All right, let's reconnect the battery cable. Clean things up a little. And let's see what we've got. Car starts up nicely. Wheel's in the wrong place. The cruise control turns on and off at least. Let's see about my shifters. Shift into 2, shift down to 1. That's a beautiful thing. Haven't seen that in a while, and it works. Repair successful, and I'll make sure the cruise control works when I'm out on the road, but I'm pretty darn sure it will because that fixed everything else. So that's how you do a 2007 Honda Fit clock spring. Hope this helps. If so, say thanks. Leave some comments. Have a good one.